Hi, my name is Lindy Collier, and I am representing ComSpark today. And we are here in Indianapolis, and I have the pleasure of interviewing and talking with Ryan Brubaker with Seven Corners. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So let's get started. So tell me and how you would describe your organization's cloud strategy.
So when I first came to Seven Corners, we did not have a cloud strategy, and that was one of the things that I brought in initially. And one of the things that we needed to be as a company is more agile, more nimble, and I knew that having a cloud strategy was going to be really important. So we actually implemented a 4 to 5 year strategy. We chose public cloud, and we went through all of our due diligence to make sure that that was going to be secure and going to be what we needed for our customers and for the privacy of our data. And so after we completed that effort, then we put together a roadmap. And we essentially migrated all of our systems over into Microsoft Azure, is the cloud platform that we selected. So part of that plan was to first figure out exactly what could move over into their platform-specific offerings, so PaaS, Platform as a Service, and then what needed to remain in IaaS, Infrastructure as a Service. And one of the things that was interesting that we found out later and I'll come back to that in a second, but we were trying to figure out how to get as much into PaaS as possible, as much into Platform as a Service, because it was more cost effective, at least according to the cloud vendors. So what was interesting was we did migrate some of our, as much as possible, into PaaS, and we actually, in conjunction with all of that, with that cloud move, we moved to a DevOps mentality, brought in DevOps practitioners, and started to build out continuous delivery, continuous integration, the ability for developers to check in code or do a pull request and have automated tests run, all of that stuff as it moves up into deployment into the cloud. And as we did that, we actually found huge efficiencies. It was incredible for our company to have this capability, and it's been really great for the developers, for our quality of our code. But we also found, as we did this, that PaaS was not always the least cost or the most effective. And so we were actually able to do some testing. So one of the things that's cool about cloud is not only the ability to turn on services, turn off services, and when you turn them off, you're not billed for them, except for storage, right? So there's always those little gotchas. But we were able to kind of put together an understanding as we went into the cloud of how this stuff really worked. And as we did that, we were able to put together almost like A/B testing, where we could put like an app gateway in front of IaaS as well as PaaS offerings, and then we could start to see what was more reliable, what was more cost effective, what served up pages faster. And so we could start to dial in exactly where we wanted to continue to use PaaS and where we wanted to use IaaS. So that's been actually a long journey that we're wrapping up right now. We're almost entirely now out of our offsite data center facility and into Azure. We'll be wrapping up over the next couple of months, but right now it's almost just like the finishing touches. So we've been substantially, all of our production has been in Azure now for probably 6 months.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So when you were going through this journey and kind of taking apart what worked, what didn't work, did you find that pathway to cloud that you ended up having to, and I think you mentioned it, what made sense and the cost behind it? There's many companies that go all in and then find out to the public cloud and find out, oh my goodness, I got to bring this back. Kind of walk me through how you went through that type of exercise.
Yeah, well, I'm thankful that we didn't end up in that scenario where we actually needed to bring stuff back. We always knew we would have some edge equipment, domain controllers, things like that were totally local, but we effectively are treating our headquarters as like a branch office now.
Okay.
So it's just extended connectivity to the cloud, but it's effective. We have a work from home initiative for our employees, and so team members can work from home when they need to or certain days of the week. And so in a sense, our corporate office is almost just like another person's home. It's just another extension or like a branch office. So we haven't needed to bring anything back. Really what we've discovered was more on the setup of what should be SaaS, like in Microsoft 365, what should be PaaS, what should be IaaS, and just tweaking all of that. From a licensing perspective too, there's a lot that you learn about related to, like if you set up a SQL machine, then you're paying SQL Server licensing in addition to the machine costs. We went through an effort where we actually had set up a lot of dev tests but not in a dev test subscription, which is significant savings. So we actually had to then kind of build a dev test subscription and migrate all of that, which is an extra effort because we just didn't really fully understand that up front.
Right.
So there were definitely lessons learned that help you to save money in a dev test subscription. When we first went to Azure, there was not, you had the ability to automatically shut off a machine, like on the weekend, but no ability to automatically turn it on. And so we could shut off all the dev machines for the weekend, and then they had to go get with the technical services side, the I&O side, to get them to turn it back on so they could start working again on Monday. And those things have since been resolved. So there was functionality that didn't even exist initially that we had to kind of uncover as we went. But like I said, we haven't had to bring anything back. It's still absolutely the right move for us, but there's just all those little things that you learn.
Gotcha. So going beyond cloud, talk to us a little bit more about some of the innovations that Seven Corners is doing for your customers, such as live chat bots, things of that nature.
Yeah, well, as a preamble to that, one of the things that we have found, and is really across the entire spectrum of business now, is that your industry is no longer the benchmark. So it used to be that if we didn't have live agent or live chat, as long as our competitors didn't, it was okay. As long as we were kind of industry standard, then we were okay. And we've found that has completely changed now. And no one's comparing you to your competitor anymore. They're comparing you to Amazon. They're comparing you to Uber. So the expectations are completely different. So it doesn't really matter that if I don't have a competitor that doesn't have live chat. All people care about is the fact that all the services they're used to have live chat. Why don't they have that? So we did actually move into live chat about 3 years ago. And then later we actually moved platforms of live chat platform, but we do have a live chat functionality. And so if a customer wants to reach us through that, they can do that and just talk to a human being right on the website, which people seem to really appreciate. A lot of people just don't want to sit on the phone and talk to you. They would rather just chat with you.
Right.
On the bot side, we do not have a bot yet, but we're actively investigating that through R&D. We're looking at a couple of different angles first. So first is like the scripted bot style, and then of course there's the AI bot. So scripted bot is a little more straightforward. So we're looking at doing that for purchasing a policy to where you could either speak to an Amazon Echo device or a Google Home device and say, hey, I need to buy travel insurance. And then we would just ask you the correct questions. The bot would ask you the correct questions and then ultimately give you a price and say, would you like to purchase this travel insurance?
That's incredible.
But then we're also trying to take that to the next level in the future to where we can get into more of an AI bot. So instead of a scripted bot, it's actually using artificial intelligence. And we'll probably use that more on the customer service side, allowing customers to come in and ask questions. How do I file a claim? Or how do I check the status of my claim? Or how do I know how much coverage I need? Those are the questions that you really need AI to answer as opposed to a scripted bot. So that's all coming.
Well, it sounds like you guys you're leading the edge in your industry. So I really want to thank you for your time, Ryan, for joining us here. And if you want to see or learn more about Ryan's interview and others in the Indianapolis area, please visit ComSpark.tech. Thank you for joining us today.